games on the power play, and you took advantage of it with that first goal. That teams at times have been kind of sagging off from that goal line spot and giving you a chance to make decisions of what to do there. Can you kind of walk me through the process of decision making down there and what you're looking at to try to make a play?
Yeah, it's pretty fortunate being a righty down there and then having all left-hand shots as options. They're all one-timers, so it's a lot of worry about for the opposing team there with one-timer on the backside, middle, and even going back to Bratter. So whenever they take away those options, there's obviously something available, and the last little bit they've been given the lane to the net, so it's never a bad thing to take the puck there.
And then once you do it, in score. I mean, obviously, I assume that means the teams might have to adjust and try to take that away, which then will open up different options for you, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't want to force plays. Take what they give is a lot of times what they say, and last time it was the net drive, and this time, might be the passing play, so we'll have to see how obviously Winnipeg adjusts this.
How much of a boost for you, confidence-wise, is a game like last game, putting a couple in there and then the team getting the victory as well?
Yeah, well, overall it's great to get the win. That's exactly what we need right now, and then on my side, I'm never going to complain when I get some goals, so it's definitely on the positive side.
What's the biggest challenge here? Not only a team like the Jets, but in this building, they very rarely.
Yeah, it's a tough building to come into. They play a very solid game. We've seen that last time we played them, and they're in the standings where they are for a reason. So we got a big task on our hands tonight, and we're ready for it right now.
What has to be different, the different approach up against them this time around?
Yeah, but you got to play a full 60 minutes against this team. They don't break down easily, and when they do get opportunities, they capitalize. They got a lot of speed, guys that can score some goals, and you just don't want to give them those blank opportunities where they'll capitalize.
What is the best way then to break them down from their solid structure? Is that what your speed?
We want to play our game.
Yeah.
That's when we're at our best, playing with speed, with a lot of pace. Making plays and making sure that we're back on top. We don't want to give odd man rushes. That's a big factor of when the teams like this that are so good in the year, they just wait for those opportunities and take advantage of it. So we just got to make sure we play full 60.
With what your experience here teaches you about why it's so hard for the opponent to post victories in this building, what is it about this building and the way they play?
Just get out of the first five, at least 0-0, and I think you have at least a chance. I've been fortunate here, San Jose, two buildings that the fans are fantastic. They're cheering on their team. The passion, you can feel it. I don't know if it's the building or the way it's built or what they did, but it's something special to be able to play here in Winnipeg. Now being on the opposing side, I was telling the guys weather the storm early. No pun intended, and just make sure that, again, you just got to expect them to come fast, come hard. They're a fantastic team, and just got to be ready for it.
They're so sound in the way they play. What do you guys have to do to force their own breakdowns? And is that a possible thing with a team like that?
Yeah, they're a reason they've been 100-point team already clinched playoffs. That's not by chance. I'm very fortunate to have great relationships with basically 95% of this team, the coaching staff, all that. So I'm not surprised to see where they're at. They're very disciplined. They got great leadership. They got skill, grit. Their goaltenders, again, arguably the best goalie in the world. So they got everything that it takes to win, and I think for our group, we've just got to be prepared for it. I think we've been kind of playing playoff hockey here for the last 10, 15 games already, and still are in the thick of a fight here for the last 9. And talking with some of those guys last night, they are too for first place. So everyone's got something to play for at this time of the year, and I think again it's going to be a great atmosphere, great building, and we should be ready for it.
This isn't the first time, obviously, you've gone back to a place you've played. Your experience with that, but what are the emotions of a day that just is unusual? You're coming back to a place that is familiar, but you're going to the different locker room. You're wearing a different jersey, and how do you manage those emotions?
Yeah, it's. I've told guys, when we played Carolina this year, I told Pasha, it's a tough game to play, especially when, for myself, I've got great relationships with a lot of guys on that team, and whether that's going into a battle in the corner or net front or just laughing during warm-ups. I had an amazing 3 years here. I had a lot of fun. We had some great teams. frustrating with how some of the playoffs ended for us. But overall, it's a tough game to play. Mentally, there's a lot of stuff. Thankfully, we've already played them once, and they spanked us around pretty good. So now hopefully we can return the favor. It's again going to be a tough game, but overall a good test for our group.
Did you get a chance to catch up with guys yesterday?
What's that?
Did you get a chance to catch up with?
I did. Yeah, I saw a bunch of the guys yesterday. So it was good to see them.
Just talking with Scott Arniel, and going back 3-4 years, he talked about how this team became a better defensive team, now one of the best, harder to play against physically, and their culture off the ice is much improved. And he said that you, and Nate Schmidt for that matter, had a lot to do with the growth and what's happening here today. You have a piece of that. How much pride do you take in hearing words like that?
I appreciate that. I'm going to have to find his Venmo or e-transfer to get Arnie some. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think it was something when I came here. I didn't know a lot of the guys, didn't know a lot about the city, the fan base, any of that, other than again playing here on the road, which teams are in and out, and usually hotel, dinner, and you're gone. And to get to know, and still I've got neighbors that are the most passionate hockey fans you'll ever hear from. The guys on the team. People from Winnipeg in general, Scott Arniel, Adam Lowry. I could go down there. I feel like the entire roster of guys I played with, and coming here, I think it was just something to try and be myself. I think credit to other guys that came in. The Paul Stastnys, the Nate Schmidts. They always had a good group when you get to know the people in here. Everybody cares. I know from Mark Scheifele that's been here for 15 years, right on down to the Cole Perfettis that have been here and Sandbergs that have been here for a few years. Just great guys, great hockey players, and people that really care. Which I think when you're building a team and you want to have a core group of guys, again, Kyle Connors, the Connor Hellebucks, the Nicky Ehlers, you can really go throughout the entire roster and look at why they're special. We were talking last night. I think we were third in the league last year, and again, it sucks with how things ended, but a lot of great memories on the ice and off the ice.
How do you describe the way you guys have been battling down the stretch here? Obviously, there's been some adversity, but the way your team continues to push here.
Yeah, everyone's got something to play for this time of the year. We play a Chicago team that's obviously out of the playoff race, but you got guys playing for contracts, guys playing for the following year to play up and down the lineup, and again, Winnipeg's already clinched, but they're trying to get home ice throughout the playoffs. So I think we found ourselves, we've kind of been up and down as a team over the last couple months, to be honest with you, but we feel like we're playing better, and at least we're focusing on the things that we feel like need to help us to be successful. We're not using excuses as easy outs when we do lose, and I think that's been a credit to our team to really try and take that next step of this is what we got. Going forward, we've got 9 big games before we can hopefully clinch playoffs, and that's the thing about playoffs is you've got to earn your way there, and we're finding that out.
What have you learned about Nico Hischier? He seems like one of those kind of under the radar, shouldn't be under the radar Selke guys.
Yeah, you just said it perfectly. A guy that doesn't get enough credit for how complete a player he is. Being in the Western Conference for most of my career, I feel like Nico's a guy that you see the highlight reel goals, and you see he's the captain at a young age and all this, and then you kind of get to know the person Nico and kind of see his daily practice habits. You see how he plays and takes a million face-offs and against other teams' top lines. Guy you want on the ice 6-on-5 and 5-on-6. One of those guys that's, again, only growing and only getting, but you kind of forget that he's only as young as he is, right? So, fantastic player, for sure.
Sheldon, from your experience having coached in this building before, what you know about the way the Jets play, why is this building such a difficult place for opponents to win in, or can be?
Well, they have a good team. I think that'd be a part of it. But yeah, fans are into it and loud and all that. But I would say the goaltending and the players have a lot to do with that.
And what has made them so difficult in that last game for you guys to sort of break through? And what needs to be different about the way you play here?
Well, it's a good team. It's pretty obvious. You can look at the standings and you see that. You got to look at the goals against and see they don't give up very much. So, you want to find your way through that. You want to look to earn some power play opportunities. For us, the bigger thing is just to keep the puck out of our net and defend well and hang around in the game to give ourselves an opportunity. So that's really what it's about. We're playing a much different opponent here today than we did the other night in Chicago, but a lot of how we played in that game, save for a few things we'd like to clean up in our own end, I think that's how we need to play. It's just going to be against a team that's going to stress us a whole lot more. So I'd like to see how we continue to push through it.
Sheldon, 3 weeks ago, you were coming off a road trip, and I don't know if your team was still shell-shocked over what had happened in Vegas and Dallas, but would those have been contributing factors as well? And I guess the second half of that question is your team been able to get through that now?
Yeah, I think it was a tough week for us, just how everything transpired there. You lose both Jack and Dougie Hamilton. Within a few days of each other at the tail end of a road trip. We had lost sort of a heartbreaker in Dallas as well. We had fought our way back and then ended up losing in the last few seconds. So it was tough to pick up the pieces. Also trade deadline day. There's lots going on that day. But to answer your question, we come out of that. We won 3 in a row coming out of that. Dropped one in Pittsburgh, won a huge game in Columbus. So 4 out of 5 wins after. So I would say we did sort of dust ourselves off and push through. It's been a little bit up and down since then. In terms of the results, we've liked our process a lot better. We've been in games and controlling games, and closing out has been somewhat of a challenge for us the last little bit, which wasn't really a thing before. But we've liked our game in the sense that it's given us an opportunity to win each time out.
I know one of the things you mentioned going into that game was, hey, look who the top 2 defensive teams are in the National Hockey League. I don't know if anybody had that on their bingo card at the start of the year, but is that what you want to kind of get back to now, Sheldon, is to be that tough defensive team in these last 8 or 9 games?
Yeah, without a doubt. Especially when you take out, 2 of your greatest offensive contributors and Jack and Dougie, you're not going to be able to score as much, or at least that should be your expectation going in. It's going to have to be tight, and as a result, you can't give up as much. As I said, I think we've done a real nice job of that, quite honestly, as a team. I just think, closing out games, some third period stuff has caught up with us a little bit. But as I was stating, I think the way that we've performed has given us a chance to be, up 1 after the first period, or even after the first period, and then up leading going into the third. So that's what you want to be in as a team, and give yourself a chance every night. So I've liked that aspect of our game, and we need it to continue.
Sheldon, when you go with those 2 offensive players that you just talked about, not change, but do you tweak some of your team tactics as far as how to get the puck back and maybe how to keep it for longer periods of time?
Well, I wouldn't say it's our tactics necessarily. It's just the game is different, right? Jack's such a facilitator, and he plays a unique game that you don't necessarily coach or teach, because he has such an ability to carry the puck to the neutral zone and create something from nothing and all of that. And there's not a lot of other players that can do that. So I wouldn't say it's different from a strategy perspective. It's just more reinforcing for other lines, like how hard we got to work to get through the neutral zone, how hard we got to work to forecheck the puck back consistently if we want to get in on offense and play in the offensive zone. And then obviously Dougie is, he's a shot threat that can score from virtually anywhere on the ice, so that's a little bit different that way. It's a little more reliant on trying to get tips and rebounds and things of that nature, so you take a threat like that out of the lineup. So that's been part of it, but like anytime you take guys out, you're looking for others to step up, and I think we've done that. Mercer gets a couple last game. Meyer's been consistently scoring for us. We've gotten some depth contributions, basket scores that get us on the board first the other night. So we've liked the contributions. As I said, we've put ourselves in position to win games and find ways. We'll be stressed a lot here tonight. We know that, but the team game itself has got to pull everybody up, and I think we've done that.
Going back to that first game against Winnipeg, Shimon Nemitz had that difficult third period, and you said he has a lot more to offer than what he did in that third period. How have you seen him respond since then, and maybe grow with Brenden Dillon as a pairing?
Yeah, I've liked it. Obviously, we've moved him in and out with Cholowski's rival here, but felt it was important to get Nemec back in yesterday, or last game, I should say, and wanted to give him more minutes and kind of try to get a little traction in his games. We think he's got some things to offer us if he can be at his best. And I liked his game. I thought it was as good a game as he's played maybe this season from my perspective. Now, it's a different opponent, different challenge here, so you got to stay engaged. And even in the last time he played them, he was fine through 2 periods. It's just bottom fell out in the third. So it's a 3-period game, and it's usually the difference between the top teams and some others is they just were able to stay with their game longer, and that's usually part of your message is consistency for any young player. I mean, we're going to need that from them.
Sheldon, you have personal experience with Luke Shen coming in at a deadline. How can he change the dynamic, and what have you seen from him over the years?
Yeah, I mean, he was tremendous for us and really played his best hockey in the playoffs. He was, like any player coming over at trade deadline, it's a little hard to get your footing, in the short amount of time in the regular season. But when playoffs arrived, it was really important for us to have him in, and it was a pairing with Morgan Riley at the time, and he was tremendous, physical, tough, just such a presence, leadership. But also broke the puck out well and did little things that really help you win. I got a lot of respect for him and his game and what he brought to our group there.
Thank you.